What's the point? The point is that the word virtual in virtual reality is really important. Glottoverse is pushing to use virtual reality for its products, and I think it's the future of language learning. In my opinion, it has a lot of benefits for something like education, because you can control that much more of what a person is experiencing. You can tailor a learning experience to the unique needs of the subject matter, like a language, or to the user, although the latter option is really expensive and time-consuming. There are other pros for VR, namely that it simulates reality and can elicit similar reactions to a real-life experience. What do I mean? Think of a time that you were on a really high platform or hill or mountain and you just looked over the edge. Didn't you get a little blood rushing to your head? Maybe a little adrenaline pumping? If you don't, you're weird, because most people do. In VR, a properly done experience that places you at a great height can potentially elicit the same type of bodily reactions. That's crazy cool! But things get a little more interesting when you see what sort of motivation people have with interpreting the value of VR. At the Vision conference back in 2017, Richard Dawkins was a keynote speaker and chose to talk about the idea that virtual reality as a set of constructed and perceived phenomena is not any different from the real world. Quote, "Our perception of reality is virtual reality, but it's run by software in the brain. We don't see faithful, unadulterated data from the real world. Instead, what we see is a constructed, modeled world, constructed by the brain, much in the same way that VR software constructs an apparent reality in the computer." He has a point. Our brains cannot possibly perceive all of the information that's going on around us. It is a known fact that our brain likes to make shortcuts and leave out information all the time. But where we run into trouble is where thinking like this leaves us, as humans. One conclusion is that VR is an extension of the world, as valid as any of the rest of the world. It might seem like a far stretch, but if you assume that reality is based on our experience, it is not difficult to award the same value of reality to what is a virtual experience. A second possible conclusion is that humans are just computers. While many people are actually a fan of this idea, I think it's a dangerous one. By saying that we are computers, we are really only as valuable as an equally competent machine, computer, or program of artificial intelligence. The point is that the word virtual in virtual reality is really important. It is a world that is composed by humans, whereas the world we are in is not. Dawkins can try to trick it up a little bit, but we in the end are not responsible for the creation of rock, water, flora, and fauna. Those things come from somewhere else. Humans in the real world are more valuable than computers, and whether you develop for or just use VR, you have to remember that. Glottoverse Inc., for example, doesn't have a mission of providing an escape or an extension of reality. It is a tool that teaches you language for you to then re-engage with the reality and make new relationships. I hope you enjoyed this topic. If you did, make sure to hit subscribe. As well, keep up with Glottoverse on Facebook and Twitter, the next best tool in virtual reality.